guys, it's Marissa from Monsoon Youth. I'm gonna be making 2 loaves of sandwich bread. It's actually Julia Child's recipe, and for those of you who don't know, she is an expert of baking and cooking, so that means we have all that we need for a great loaf of bread. So come with me on this journey. All you need is flour, sugar, butter, salt, and warm water. I think I got everything. Oh, and yeast. The sugar is what feeds the yeast, and that's how we're gonna get everything started and know that the yeast is gonna help our dough to rise. Okay, so we're gonna need 1 tablespoon, so I already have my measuring spoons. And I'm just gonna make sure that I have a nice level tablespoon. I'm gonna put it in this bowl. And again, I have 1/2 cup of water. I hope it's a little bit more than half. Okay, so we're gonna do 1 tablespoon of sugar. And again, the sugar is gonna give some food for the yeast. And we're gonna add in get a little whisk so that we can just kind of activate everything, as you can see. Okay, and now we want to let it sit for 5 minutes. This is going to give everything a chance to grow. It's going to be really cool. I'm just going to grab a tea towel to cover it. You can leave it in a little safe space like a microwave, or just here on the counter. And we'll check back in 5 minutes. Okay, it's been 5 minutes. So our yeast has gotten nice and foamy, and there are little bubbles. If your yeast and sugar and water mixture does not bubble like this, that means that it won't be able to rise your bread, so you don't want to continue if yours doesn't look nice and foamy. So let's continue. So like earlier when we had warm water, I forgot to mention that you don't want the water to be hot. It will actually hurt the yeast. Yeast seems to be a very fragile thing. But yeah, so my hands are clean and I'm just gonna feel it, and it just feels like nice warm water. So I'm going to add 2 cups of warm water to our yeast mixture, and we're going to start with 1/2 of our flour. So you want to scoop the flour, and then you want to use your finger or a knife to just level off the top. So that is 1 cup. So we're going to go with 3 cups. So it's 1, here's 2, and then here's 3. Okay, so now I'm gonna use my whisk. And here we go. I'm just gonna give it a stir, combine everything. So again, this is our yeast mixture, and this is more water and flour. So this is looking great. I'm just gonna tilt this so you can see it. I'm sure yours looks great too, if you're following along. I hope you are. Okay, awesome. So it looks kind of like a gluey paste, which is amazing. So I'm just gonna try and get all this off, because as I add more flour, this poor little whisk is not gonna be strong enough. So I wanna get it out, and we are going to add, actually, let's do this. I'm gonna go for 2 teaspoons of salt. So now it's time to add the rest of the ingredients. So we're gonna do 2 teaspoons of salt. And I have a 1/4 cup of butter that is softened, so it's nice and squishy. Okay, here we go, let's try this. Perfect. So there goes our butter. And I'm just gonna give that a little squish before I add the flour, just because the flour will change the texture. So here we go. I need 3.5 more cups of flour. So 1, 2, 3, and then I'm gonna come in with my 1/2 cup. And that's the thing about baking, it's very precise. So you do have to use measuring cups. You can't just eyeball it, because you'll always get a different result every time. So here we go, we're just gonna combine it. So I'm gonna do my best to bring it together to form like a ball as I'm stirring it. And if you have a mixer, you can do it in your mixer with what's called a dough hook. It's gonna be like a stronger piece of metal, and it can like bring this together. But I don't have one, so I'm just doing it by hand. And this is getting a little bit tricky, so I'm going to, my hands are nice and clean, so I'm gonna do this by hand. I'm just gonna see if I can fold it over. So I'm gonna kind of scrape the bowl and bring it together. So the idea is you're like scooping and then you're pulling down. I'm going down like with my wrist. And I'm just gonna keep on doing that and keep on going. And it's getting a little sticky, but it's pretty good because there's still quite a bit of flour in the bowl. Oh, I found the butter. So I'm just gonna make sure that gets combined. And still scraping. And in a few more turns, we're going to drop this actually onto the counter. So I made sure to clean my counters before I started this. And if you don't, it'd be a good time to just pause and wipe your counters. Here we go. Perfect. So now what I'm going to do is I'm going to actually, so that's what my dough looks like. It doesn't look pretty, but don't worry. We're going to take a tiny bit of flour. I'm going to sprinkle it out here on our counter, and this is just going to prevent the dough from sticking to your counter. You can also get a little bit extra for your hands. Okay, so now we're going to drop this out. Perfect. Now I want to try and grab any little bits because I don't want anything to get wasted. Clear off my counter so you guys can see what I'm doing. So now you're gonna use 2 hands. Okay, so you're gonna need to do the same idea. This is called kneading now. We're gonna need to do this for about 8 minutes. So we might actually like zoom forward, but we'll show you the idea. So yeah, you're gonna like grab a piece and then you're gonna go down with your wrist and then you're gonna twist it. I like to go like a clockwise. So like 12 o'clock, 1 o'clock, 2 o'clock, 3, and I'm gonna keep on twisting it around. So here we go, 8 minutes. And what this is gonna do is it's actually going to be stretching all the fibers in your dough. If you don't do this, then you're not gonna get any of those beautiful bubbles in your loaf, and it's not gonna get really high. So you can be pretty aggressive with it, and you can push down really hard, take out all your frustrations, and yeah, just like kind of go into the rhythm of it. It's pretty fun, I like it. Here we go. So yeah, I'm just gonna show you one more time. So yeah, you're gonna cup it with your fingers, pull it, and push it down. Okay, so we just finished kneading. Oh my gosh, it's so pretty. Okay, so there's a few ways to tell if you're done. You can push on it and it should spring back. So mine left a small indent, but for the most part, it's a good texture. Another way, you can test. So if you take a little piece off, and then you're going to like stretch at it, and if you can kind of see through it, if you hold it up to the light, you can see through it, but it doesn't like tear. Mine tore a little bit, if I'm honest. But I did need it for the good 8 minutes, and it feels really good to me. It also looks really good to me as well. So I'm just going to kind of like squish it all together at the bottom. So that is like a nice ball. See how I did that? I just kind of like pulled it, and bam. Nice pretty ball. Another way to also note is like, it's not sticking to my counter, and it's not sticking to me either. So we're going to let it rise now. So I have my bowl, and I did just wash it out. I didn't think you wanted to watch me wash my dishes. So I'm just gonna give a tiny little, like just a little bit of oil in the bottom. I'll just show you. It's just to grease the bowl so that when my dough goes inside, it's not gonna stick. So see how it's like, I don't even know, that's just too cool. So it's just a little bit of oil so that I can cover all the sides. This is so that when it rises, it does not stick to the bowl. Okay, so it's perfect. And I'm just gonna put my hands because of the oil. I really like, my mom always did saran wrap around the outside to give it a seal. It just creates a nice warm environment. So if I left this open, it would probably get like a crust. But by putting this foam over the top like this, it's gonna help keep the warm air inside. And then my mom always, and my grandma, who always made like bread and cinnamon rolls, they always put a tea towel over the top. A tea towel is just like a hand towel. So I have created this little miniature oven. You don't want to put this anywhere that's going to be too hot or too cold. My house is like kind of warm right now, so I think that this is going to rise just okay on the counter. I'm going to put it somewhere safe so I know no one's going to touch it over here, and I'm just going to leave it here. This whole time I was looking over there. Yeah, so we're gonna check back in about an hour and see if it's ready, and then if it's not, we'll give it another 30 minutes. Okay, so here we go. Okay, so it's been just a little bit over an hour. So when you've left your dough to rise, you can just watch it and see if it should need at least an hour, and then leaving it any longer is up to you, but the max that I would want to leave it for this first rise is an hour and a half. Okay, so let's reveal. Look at this. So it has pushed against the plastic and it has risen beautifully. And something exciting that we get to do is we actually get to punch it. The science of why, I don't know. If I did not oil this, the dough would have actually stuck to the plastic, but because we oiled it, she's like coming out like a beauty. I'm gonna save that plastic wrap and use it for later. This is gonna make 2 loaves of bread. I actually only have 1 loaf pan, and I have this round pan, and I have used it before, and it works perfectly. So before I get my hands all dirty, I'm just gonna take this little piece of paper towel, and you could use butter or oil. This is just a stage of like greasing the pans. So again, the dough doesn't stick in your pans, and when it's all finished, it's gonna come out nice and easy. So you could have done this before unwrapping, but I wanted to do this with you guys so that you could, just be a part of it. So here we go. You can try and move really fast. So yeah, we're going to punch it down. Oh, isn't that cool? So it's like this cool little handprint, and I can see all these beautiful bubbles. I'm going to just use my hand. You could use a knife to kind of create 2 different pieces. gonna take the first one. I'm gonna put it down here. Again, I cleaned my counters before, and I'm just going to try and create like the size of a large piece of paper. You can push on it, and all those kind of like little releases are, it's air, bubbles popping. It's like nature's bubble wrap. Okay, so now that we've made this kind of like stretched out square, these are just the instructions that the author, Julia Child, gave to us. So now what we do is we fold it. So we go over once, and then we go over again. And then this would be the seam side, because this is where there's gonna be a seam, like the seam of your clothes. And I'm just going to put it right into here. So yeah, again, that's the seam. It's going on the bottom, and it fits perfectly. I'm just gonna kind of tuck the sides down and push it down so it's kind of level. And there we go. That one's our first one. I'm gonna put it over here, put the saran wrap on just for right now, because that starts our second rise. And then I have the circle pan, and what I did last time was I flattened it out as well. And then this one kind of made a different shape. But I'm just going to, again, do the folds. It's okay that it has little imperfections. And then I'm just gonna kind of like curl it a little bit. This is me going a little bit rogue from the recipe. And I'm doing that same thing as before. I'm like creating the notch at the bottom. I think the folds will help when it rises. So perfect. That's our second one. And now we're going to leave both of these for another hour. I know this is super time consuming, but don't cheat. Don't try to put this in the oven right away. You're gonna have really hard bread, and all your hard work is not gonna be, it's not gonna be worth it. So it's worth it to wait. So put this again in a warm spot, let it rise for an hour, and then we're gonna meet back here, and then we're gonna finish it off and put them in the oven. So. Okay, so our bread is all risen, so we're going to preheat our oven to 375 degrees Fahrenheit. Okay, so you can preheat your oven, and then that's just gonna take probably like 3 to 5 minutes, and then we'll check back, and it'll be time to put the bread in the oven. It has been an hour, and our oven is preheated to 375 degrees, so look at these beauties. I'm just gonna unveil them. Oh my gosh. Here we go. So we're just gonna put them right into the oven. I personally like brushing butter on after for a soft crust, but if you want, you could do like an egg wash or something to get like a harder crust. But I like soft crust, so that's why I'm not gonna put anything on. So I'm just gonna be really careful and pop these straight into the oven. And they can go on the same rack because they're nice and small. So here we go. I want to show you one last time. Okay, so the recipe says that they should bake for 30 to 35 minutes. So I'm gonna put them for 30 minutes and check back and see if they need an extra 5 minutes. And you can do the same. Hey guys, my bread is ready, so we're gonna take it out of the oven, okay? Here it comes. It's not totally perfect, but I never said that I was gonna give you perfection. I'm gonna just show you a trick that my mom showed me. You use your knuckle and you tap on it. See, it sounds like I'm knocking on wood. That means it's hollow inside. So you could choose to just leave it like this. I actually, little secret, the one loaf was done earlier, so, you know, I prepared it over here. And I already brushed it with some butter, so cool it like sounds different because the butter actually softened the edge, and we're gonna give it a little cut inside. It's actually so warm. I would probably wait like 2 to 5 minutes before you take it out of the pan, and then once you take it out of the pan, I would let it cool more, but because I just want to show you the finished loaf, I'm gonna cut a slice. Careful, don't cut your fingers off. Okay, the big reel. So look at that. It has a great texture. It's nice and fluffy. This is the kind of color you're gonna want your bread to be when you pull it out of the oven. A nice honey brown color and a great texture, just so that you can have something to compare. So I hope that you guys have really enjoyed watching this video, and I hope that you also make this Julia Child's recipe. We will post the recipe with the video, and yeah, let us know how it goes.